Hi everyone, I'm Ali GREYMOND. I'm continuing the Q&A about OCD recovery from your questions that you asked on my Instagram. And the first question is, if it has to do with my theme, can I just drop it right there? And yes, if it has to do, okay, so just to go over the basic principles. If it has to do with your theme or something that's directly connected to your theme or can be a secondary theme, if it gives you anxiety, if it gives you urgency, if it if it has that kind of OCD flavor that you usually get, if it feels super real, right? That's how you know that this is an OCD thought. So if it has, and in terms of anxiety, as you are recovering, you may feel less anxiety, or the thought itself, if it's a first thought, might come in without anxiety, or it may come in like, oh, but what about, and then you get anxiety. So don't get too caught up on what I'm saying. Look at it as a group. If it has those basic um, traits or most of those basic traits, that's OCD, and you just have to disregard. Focus on something else. Even if you feel extreme urgency to do something, to check, to figure out, to do compulsion, just refuse. The anxiety will go up and up and up, hit a peak, and then it will go down. If you don't do anything. If you do something like any kind of a compulsion, whether it's mental or physical, it will just stay up, right? So you have to make sure to refuse reaction. Hi, Ali. I'm suffering from pure O in the way of HOCD. Since I'm recovering with the help of your videos, I'm getting myself back, and my thoughts and desire of a woman are coming back. In the past, I used the thoughts of my real me and the thoughts of a woman as a form of reassurance. My question is, how do I know if this kind of thoughts are normal and therefore I'm allowed to engage in them, or are compulsions which I need to prevent myself from doing? I'm struggling a lot to distinguish which thoughts are normal and which are compulsion, and therefore often stop thinking about them on the safe to be on the safe side. Okay, so basically the person is asking, when is this thought an OCD thought? When is it okay to do? Is it a compulsion, or like trying to figure out the thoughts? So again, going back to the first question, if it has to do with HOCD across the board, anything to do with being gay in any way is an OCD thought for you. So you have to disregard. It has to do with being gay, gives you urgency to solve. I'm disregarding, I'm moving forward. So they're all going to be OCD. Don't dig into the specifics. Is it normal that my ROCD thoughts get more important as my trip with my boyfriend is coming soon? How can I stop these thoughts, please? Yeah, they're right before, with ROCD, which is relationship OCD. What I see pretty much every time is this kind of OCD gets worse during important parts of people's lives. But people are getting married, people are having kids, people are moving in together, a new relationship, all of those kinds of things, or relationship that's getting serious, right? All of those things are a trigger because, oh, this is important now, and that's how our OCD comes in you know so of course, before a trip, an important situation, you want to make sure your relationship is okay. What if it's not? You know what I mean? That's how it comes in. That's why it comes in. Don't fall for it. It's just a trick. Disregard. My second question is, how much does one WhatsApp session cost with you? Since I can't find any information about that on your website, it's right on the front of the website. I have it split into packages, and because everybody's in different stage of their recovery, and some people need more help than others. If you are not sure which package to get, the one that works the best and the one that I recommend is the severe OCD package, which is the every other day sessions. Um, everyday sessions is for if you need everyday sessions, you will know it. You will not ask me those questions. Um, but usually every other day works well, and the texting between keeps the person afloat and keeps them moving forward with their recovery. So, and you can see it right on the front, the youhaveocd.com website. And then you can sign up from there, and then you can also sign up for the time from there, because under the packages you will see the time slots I have available, so then you can sign up as well. But please, if you are serious, because a lot of people, this is kind of like a side note, but a lot of people just like, ah, I'll just make the appointment, and then you're taking that appointment from somebody else. But if you didn't sign up for the package, then that appointment, it's not signed up to anything, right? So it's kind of neither here nor there. So please, just kind of, if you're serious, you know, go ahead. But if you're not serious, don't take the spot from somebody who is serious. Um, Next question is, when did you realize that ignoring thoughts or stopping compulsions is the way to go? I had the exact approach when I was 15, but I failed, uh, and I thought it doesn't work. Um, with me personally, I found that out when I tried just about everything else. So I basically hit rock bottom. I'm like, well, I've tried medication, I've tried meditation, I've tried, all kinds of alternative vitamins, and, I tried to do reassurance for years, none of that worked. So let's do, this way, right? And really digging into how ERP is done properly, and really understand. I find that, the pivotal moment is when you start to understand the how OCD really works. And I mean, you'll see it on my YouTube channel. Like, I try to mention it in almost every video, just because it's really important for you to understand why these thoughts came in, what makes them get worse, what makes them get better, why are you getting these thoughts. I have videos for all these topics, because it's really important for you to understand that, because that ultimately gives you power. Because it's not like, oh, suddenly I feel worse today, just like the previous question, I feel worse before a vacation about my relationship OCD, and I'm going with the person I'm in a relationship with on the vacation. So yeah, that makes sense, so it's like, if you start to understand how OCD works, it's not a mystery anymore. And when you understand it, there's no fear, or there's less fear, because you see through the thoughts. You start to look at things objectively rather than under the microscope, so I find that that's a pivotal moment. And for me personally, I, like myself, was a little bit different, because when I was recovering, you know I didn't really have a person to really guide me. Like, I kind of, like, I went here, I went there, I did this, I looked up this, I studied that, so it's kind of like, it was like a mixture of things. So I really had no hope that I would recover. And I never, it was really good that I never got OCD about recovery process, because a lot of people get OCD about the recovery process, because I failed so many times. you know it's kind of like, it's almost a miracle that I just kept going, right? Because I just didn't have a plan. I didn't know that reassurance was that bad, so I kept kind of reverting to reassurance a lot, until I was like, okay, clearly what I'm doing is not working. I need to get serious, because I've tried everything else. I've tried this for years. I have to stop. And then from that moment, when you make the decision and you go really strongly, then the recovery happens faster. But it's like, but you need to have the structure, you know what I mean? So that's kind of like, the structure makes it go faster, because there's less steps back, I would say. um at the beginning, this next question, at the beginning, 6 years ago, my thoughts made me question a lot who I was. Why would I think such things? But now I feel they have turned. I feel like when I think these thoughts, I no longer say why I would never. I actually feel like it's me, and yes, I want to. Why? I mean, it's just OCD. It just comes in. But the point is, you are analyzing then, and you're analyzing now, and you need to stop analyzing. It can come in as an urge. It can come in as a thought. It can come in as an image. It can come in a dream. It doesn't really matter. When it comes in, however it comes in, you need to disregard, and you need to push through that, and say, okay, whatever. So you're not trying to defend yourself with the thoughts. You're not saying, no, no, I'm a really good person, right? You're not having this mental argument with yourself, or defensive kind of argument, right? You're saying, no, this is OCD. I'm not buying into this. I think I've bought into it enough, and now I am done. Like, very sarcastically, very in control. You say this and then you move on to whatever it is that you're doing throughout the day, and the thought will still be there and it will still be bothering you, but you're just not feeding it. Yeah, and or the other way you can do it, like this is kind of like the um midway strength, of pushing back on OCD. And the step up from that would be to say, "Oh yeah, I am the worst person in the history of the world. Moving on now," and just keep going like that. So wherever it's trying to meet you with that fear, right? So you meet it with the fear and then refuse the fear and one up it basically. Like, "Oh yeah, yep, the worst. Yeah, of course I want those things. Who wouldn't?" Like that. Like really kind of get into the sarcasm and then choose to move on. And it's going to take you, it's going to feel fake, but you just keep going through the motions. And as the anxiety drops, it will feel less fake. And then the thoughts will start to quiet down. And then eventually will stop coming in altogether. But again, guys, a lot of the time, I get this question with people saying like, "Okay, Ali, I've tried for a whole day or I've tried for a week and it's very hard and the thoughts are not getting better." And I'm like, "Okay, but you've had OCD for literally years." You know what I mean? So this is a conversation I hear a lot. So it doesn't matter if you have tried it for a week and you see like just a little bit of progress. You won't see none, but you'll see a little bit maybe. And that's okay because like I said, the recovery is about 6 months, and the beginning is the hardest. I would say the longer, the more the person pushes, the easier things become. So in the beginning it's the slowest. Then I find there's like a turning point where the person starts to see, "Oh, this really does work." They start to see results. It starts to speed up, it gets better. And then that ending part where the person only has like 1 out of 10 OCD, 2 out of 10 OCD, that one sometimes lingers as well. So that's just the process. So don't get scared of it, don't get surprised by it. Just keep going every day. Your job is not to monitor really how you feel. How you feel is a byproduct of OCD. That shouldn't be your concern. you know your concern is on your actions, and I count the thoughts as part of your actions, right? So are you doing the work? Are you paying attention to the thoughts, or are you not paying attention to the thoughts? Because you cannot be paying attention to the thoughts. So that means no physical compulsions, no mental compulsions, no asking, no reassurance, no confessing, no checking, no nothing. You know? So across the board giving it zero. That's what you have to do. Next question is, "Hi, Ali. Why is my ROCD using past irrelevant experiences mostly negative against me? My ROCD is getting more creative and complex each day. Each day it comes up with new or with different fake story situations, what ifs, or even statements. Why is this so? It's honestly killing me because all I want to do is love my significant other more deeply." So you're trying to chase the feeling. I want to more deeply. Please let me more love more deeply. Why? You know what I mean? But you want to say whatever. How I feel is how I feel. I'm disregarding. You're not chasing feelings, right? Because that's, especially with ROCD, it's important. Um, how I feel is how I feel. Whatever. I'm moving on. So you're just saying like, I'm not buying into the OCD. I'm just moving on with the day. Whatever. How the feelings will fix themselves, and they really will fix themselves. But again, over the process of the next few months. Not in the course of a week, right? So and it can use anything against you. I mean, it can take any kind of situation and twist it around. With relationships, there's usually at least some drama, so there's a lot of things to grab onto for OCD. So it can come up with really anything. So just look at it as, nice try, I'm not buying it, right? Like that has to be kind of your mantra. But you have to mean it. You can just say it like on repeat. You have to actually mean it, and then talk the talk and walk the walk. So I'm done, I'm disregarding, and then you're actually disregarding, you're actually moving on to real life stuff. Next question is, "Hi Ali, I have repeating words. It's usually people's names. Is this my obsession or compulsion? Also, what is the best way to go about these thoughts? I've been doing ERP. I'm not bringing on the thought on purpose. But once it comes in, I'm disregarding, refocusing my attention away from the thought and doing and going on with my day to the best of my ability. Yep, and that's all you have to do. I mean, it will get better, but try to do more of it, right? Like put more effort into doing that, you know, because it's like this is what you have to do to get better, you know. If you start to give in to these thoughts, you're only going to get worse, you know. So it's like no matter how difficult it is, pushing forward. But it sounds like it sounds like you're on the right track. Is this my obsession or compulsion? So um well, it's the urge, right? Is, there's a thought, right? Like, oh, I need to repeat this, right? um and then you actually repeating, like doing what OCD is telling you, that's the compulsion. Or analyzing as well, should I do this, should I not? Anytime you send fear, right, that's bad. That's the compulsion, that's the reassurance, that's what you should not be doing. There's fear that comes in automatically, there's nothing you can do about that. But it's just when you're actually upping that fear, because when the fear comes in, it comes in at like a level 6, but then you up it all the way to a 10, right, when you start to analyze. So choose not to do it. Next question is, uh oh, here's an interesting question. How to find out roots of OCD and how to solve them. You have to understand that the root of OCD really doesn't matter. You cannot solve it enough for OCD to go away. So, this is a fertile ground for any, well, not any, but a psychiatrist that knows nothing about recovering from OCD. You can go on and on endlessly discussing childhood, about this event or that event, and some people actually have really bad childhoods and they get OCD, and some people have really good childhoods and they get OCD. And it is common for people to get OCD after PTSD, but at the same time, a lot of people don't, you know? So I mean, it's not going to solve the problem. Even if you pinpoint the reason why you got OCD. The OCD can be also caused in some cases by strep throat. It can be caused by Lyme. It can be caused by a bunch of different things in terms of physicality, in addition to um, you know it just one day starting, basically, and where the doctors can't pinpoint the reason. But the point is, you're here now, you need to fix the situation now. So for example, say if you check the door 10 times, well, if you find out the root of it, next time you're leaving, you're going to be like, well, what if people break into it right now? Yeah, I know it was from the childhood when this and this happened, and now I'm worried about the door, but they're going to break in today if I don't check it right now. And your conversations about childhood are not going to help you. So that's why don't do analyzing, don't do this self digging thing, right? Like, just fix the problem, do the exposures, you will get rid of it, and it doesn't matter how or why it started. I promise you, choosing to dig into this stuff, it won't make a difference in terms of your actual OCD recovery. I know a lot of doctors say that it will. It just, there's no, the experience does not prove it to be true, because I mean, most people come to me after seeing doctors and specialists who know about OCD and make OCD their main line of work. They can tell you as the same thing, that it doesn't matter. You need to do CBT, you need to do ERP. Self analysis is not something that helps in this situation, because this is an obsessive, repetitive situation at this point, you know? I mean, for curiosity purposes, sure, but for actually practically getting you out of it, no. Next question is, I'm kind of paraphrasing the question a little bit, just to not trigger people. Um, mm, does having previous um, experiences in early teens and childhood change the thoughts of HOCD. Thinking about it makes me sick and sad. I hate remembering it all. I don't want these thoughts anymore. So you have to choose not to analyze anymore. Um, when you're and this is I think to some extent, I would classify this in a sense as it's not, because I'm a coach and I'm not a doctor. um I can't tell you that this is actually PTSD, but I can tell you that with people with OCD, they're very sensitive since birth. And a person who is sensitive since birth from the beginning, you know things that might not seem like a trauma to another person will seem like a trauma, will feel like traumatic to them, and it is a traumatic to them. And you have to treat it like PTSD, meaning that the more, and again, it still comes. I talked to quite a few people with PTSD as it relates to OCD, and they find that doing ERP for it, in the way of having the thoughts come in and disregarding the thoughts, not allowing yourself rumination on these thoughts, really helps. Again, I'm not an expert on PTSD, and I do want to make that clear. Um, but I do find that it's because you're just thinking about it over and over and over again. So you have to look at it. No, doesn't matter. I'm choosing to move on now. Because if you're like, what is your other option? So you're thinking about it now, remembering it, kind of replaying it in your mind, right? And you're gonna do this what, for decade, 2 decades, three? Like how long are we gonna go with this? But or if we're not going to go that long with it, then why are we doing this now? So you have to make a decision that, I think I've thought about it enough, I think I've worried about it enough, or gave this enough attention, and now I'm done, and now I have to move on. And then you're just, every day this thought comes, or these thoughts come in, you're choosing to move on over and over and over again. And I promise you, they will start to lose power. you know it's like another example that's not PTSD, but it just kind of illustrates what I'm talking about, is when, say for example, um, mm, say you get out of a relationship, right? It doesn't matter if it's like friendship or relationship, but and this person was so important to you, that's all, this person is all you can think about, you know but then some time goes by, you haven't seen this person in a long time, but other things in your life happened, at the same time. And the amount of feelings you have towards this person decreases. The amount of, it's just, you don't feel much to it, becomes like it starts to go down, and gets to like an even zero, right? Like it gets to nothing. It's like, oh, whatever, they just become another person. In this situation, we need this to become just another event. It was a traumatic event, but I need to move on, and looking at it like, that it's not continuously getting you, like it's not continuously bothering you, you know. And last question I have for today, because guys, I have so many questions and I will get to all of them, but it looks like it's going to be a part three. Um, is I feel like I'm faking being a good person. Is this natural? And yes, this is exactly what you need to do, right? It's like, you need to show your brain that everything is fine. You will feel like you're faking it, and as you go, it because right now, what the brain knows is that you are a really really bad person, because that's what you taught it. So when you're untraining it, the brain's like, what? No, I thought you were a really bad person, you know so anything else feels fake. So as you retrain the brain, it won't feel fake forever. This is just the temporary kind of situation in time. So you just have to go through it. But this is normal. It happens to everybody. Don't give it attention. It's like all of the other symptoms of OCD. Let's just run through them here, like derealization, depersonalization, depression, feeling sad all the time because of the situation, feeling tired all the time. Um, all those things, they're just part of OCD, and they will go away as the anxiety goes away, as disinterest in everyday life, all the stuff gets better as OCD goes away, at that same rate. I hope you guys find my videos helpful. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. I do daily videos about all things OCD. If you would like to do the recovery program, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.